大家好，欢迎收看这一期的天天话题节目。Netflix 的新剧《孙家兄弟》一经推出是大受欢迎，而我日前就有幸跟在剧中饰演二弟的李松浦 Sam Lee 进行了网络专访，不如就一起来听听他怎么说。Hi Sam, nice to meet you.
Hello, nice to meet you too.
Let me begin by saying I know you are traveling around the world right now. You must be pretty jet lagged, so I thank you for taking the time to talk to me.
Oh, of course. I'm happy to be here.
Let's talk about Brother Sons right away, 孙家兄弟.
Okay.
So say this is a huge success is very understatement. As of right now, it is still very fresh on Rotten Tomatoes and is very well received by the audience around the world. What's it like to be part of this phenomenon?
Uh, I don't know. I'm taking it in day by day. It's definitely it feels life-changing. But I think I just think about the representation that we're bringing, to the table, the representation of San Gabriel Valley, of what it's like to for so many, immigrant families to be growing up in the United States. And I'm just glad that the whole world can enjoy it and connect with the themes that we have in the show.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Let's talk about your character Bruce right away. So I found that it is another understatement that's to say that Bruce has one of the most dramatic character arc, character growth in any TV or movie right now. What is your what is your take on that?
Uh, I think there's more room. I think there's still even more room to grow. Bruce, I feel like his story is maybe just getting started because, the events of the show takes place within a week and his life is turned completely upside down. So I feel like there's much more to learn and hopefully we can explore that in future seasons.
Yeah, because I want to get in more into this. So uh, because compared to the older brother Charles, who is always about violence and fighting and killing, Bruce is the I would say the product of his time and surroundings.
It's true. It's true. And I think there's also a lot of themes of nature versus nurture, of what it's like to grow up in different environments and the product of what different environments can produce. In the extreme case of obviously Charles and then Bruce as well.
Mhm. I think we can talk about spoiler right now, right? I mean, it's
Yeah,
been a
yeah,
while.
yeah.
Yeah,
Show's
yeah,
already out.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, in the beginning of the season, we see that Bruce is very, very. I want to say, and for the lack of better word, I want to say happy-go-lucky, but like just very positive
Yes.
vibe, very,
Very
very
positive.
towards life. Everything is very positive. Everything is go, good and sunshine. But then
Mhm.
obviously at the end, he learns through this process a lot. What when you're playing him, what would be the number one thing that I know you're playing a character, but what would be the number one thing that you were truly really taking it in as a Bruce, the character?
I think the most important thing about Bruce and how he sees the world is that he sees the best in everybody. He always looks at the upsides, and he's very much someone who views, there's an American saying called viewing a glass half full
Half
versus half
empty.
empty, right? So I think he's somebody who views the world half full. Yeah, half full most of the time. And he always tries to look at the upsides in people. And I think that's why he is also so indecisive when it comes to what is the right thing, because there's a lot of moral complexities, especially towards the end of the show. And I think for me, I've always seen Bruce as someone who's always tried to see the best in people, even the good guys and the bad guys, quote unquote. Even though in this show it makes it even more complicated because there are no good guys or bad guys. They're all bad, or they're all good. Depends on how you see them.
I think a lot of the audience has think that the indecisiveness towards the whole season from the character Bruce is really just taking us off. It's really grinding our gears. Like, just get on with it. What's your take on this? Like, do you feel like it's getting really? I tried to time to accept this, or is it just playing along?
Well, you have to look at yourself. You have to look at what you would realistically do in a situation like that. And the whole time throughout the show, he's been nagged by everybody around him to be a gangster, step up, protect the family, do the right thing, right? And but also at the same time, he's been put down by his family. You're too weak. You're too soft. You got to man up. And so I feel like what he's going through is what a lot of people would be going through if they were experiencing trauma in real time. And I think that's something that people underestimate or don't really understand with Bruce is that he's you're witnessing him go through trauma like in real time. From there's a great scene in episode 8 with Alexis where he's talking about losing his family to manipulate her to be able to talk to Charles one-on-one in the jail cell. And I remembered reading that scene, and originally I think it was planned that he has this big moment where he's like really acting to put on the idea of like, look at me, I'm so sad, so I can manipulate you and go in. But I felt like when I approached that scene on the day of and filmed it, um, I was very actually sad, and I think I was very attached to Charles and losing him and the whole family. And I feel like behind everything he's doing, he just wants the best for people, but he also doesn't know what's going on because he's just a kid who's never ever experienced this life. So when we are going through pressures and stress of that caliber, of losing your whole family, of your whole world colliding and just collapsing, I think we do unreasonable things and we do things that we think make sense, but it doesn't. And so I have a lot of sympathy for Bruce with what he's going through.
Speaking of uncontrollable, and the family, let's talk about the older brother, Charles' son. What's it like to
Mhm.
work with Justin Chin?
Justin is incredible. I think people don't realize how fun of a person he actually is. He's very serious in the show, but he's a very fun person. And I will say he's extremely disciplined with his craft and the way that he treats the meticulousness of baking, of his family duties, of being an awesome assassin. Justin does that and has that same mindset for his craft as an actor and as a performer and his duties to this project. So, in a lot of ways, what we see on screen of who Charles is who Justin is in real life.
I would imagine because I'm recalling back that I think from the beginning of the season towards the middle, whenever you guys have a very serious talk, face to face, brother to brother, and the camera close up on your face, and obviously
Mm-hmm.
you're Bruce, and you're still this very indecisive
Mm-hmm.
yeah, little brother,
Yeah.
and full of anxiety and all that stuff like that, and then Charles is this very cold, calm figure. I was wondering how many times did you guys crack out, cracks off, like just burst into laughter?
There's a few times. I think the times where we crack up are usually when we like improv something in the scene, like we do something unexpected. But even then, I feel like there's so much seriousness to the show that we tried our best to be as professional as possible, and I think we did a good job of that. But there were definitely a few times where we he did something unexpected, and it just we ended up having a good time and chuckling. I think there was one scene where we were in the car in like the second episode, and I'm trying to listen to what mom is saying on the phone, and then I'm like listening, and then he slaps me on the face. I think he did that as in an improv scene, and I almost cracked up, but I kept it professional, and I cracked up shortly after. But yeah, it made the cut, and it's what we see in the show.
Oh,
It's
I have
great.
to look that up again.
Yeah.
I I would not be doing my job if I have not asked this question. What is it like to play with the one and only Michelle Yeoh?
It's life changing. It's life changing. She's so much more spectacular than I think people can imagine. She's a very, very sweet, very sincere person. The way that she makes you feel, the way that she talks to you, she has a lot of maternal instincts, in my opinion. Like from my experience, she feels like my mom, when I'm around her. And it's not just because I get to play her son, but I see how she treats other people on set, and And she really has those maternal instincts and shows a lot of love to everybody on set, regardless of who you are, from the actors who plays her sons, me and Justin, to our production assistants who are there to just help us make sure that the production is moving along. She's very generous with her energy, with her time, and just a wonderful person all around. She's taught me a lot about how to behave not only in front of the camera but also behind the camera as well.
Is she one of those Asian tiger mom vibe? Does she give you that vibe?
No, well, she likes to tease people. So I feel like she teases me and Justin the way that a mom would tease their kids. So she's very good at that. But no, I think she's very understanding and very accepting and very loving. Yeah.
Because there's this scene at the almost I think the last episode where you went out to get stuff and you
Mhm.
two are on the run in a shady hotel room
Mm.
and she single-handedly just apprehend a assailant and you came back and then ended up you getting the wrong stuff. I think some milk or something. And,
Yeah, yeah.
and
Condensed
she
milk,
complained you right
evaporated.
away about getting the she complains about right away the getting the wrong milk instead of talking about what's going on here. I feel that's
Yeah.
very tiger mom like.
Oh, for sure, for sure. I mean, no, she's brilliant, and I've seen my mom do that exact thing when she's stressed as well. So, no, she nailed that scene.
I want to switch back to you a little bit. So, your character Boost in the show that was really into improv,
Mhm.
and if correct me if I'm wrong, you are in performance arts major in the school. Uh,
I studied film production, so I was
okay.
a film production major, but I was in a private acting conservatory in San Francisco,
Mm-hmm.
and all throughout college, and I did college theater, so I you're close. I didn't major in performing arts, but I
Okay.
definitely spent more time doing performing arts than even my own major.
Okay. And there gotta be a connection there. I mean, your experience must help you with doing the character booth, doing improv.
Absolutely. And it's funny because I was taking a lot of improv classes, and my full-time job at the time, right before, being a part of Brother Sun, was making comedy videos online, comedy sketches online as well. And so um, I was very familiar with like the openness that you need to have when it comes to doing improv comedy or just comedy in general. I think it takes like a lot of shamelessness to do it. And so I really tried my best to just be as open as possible. And even sometimes when I watch myself back in the Brother Son, I got to give myself a little clap because I'm like putting myself completely out there. Very, very vulnerable, So it's fun to watch it.
Yeah, just the other day I saw an interview of somebody else that basically said if you want to be an actor, you cannot be serious, you have to be silly. If you can be silly, you can be actors.
It's a good point. At some point, you're going to have to be silly in your career. So
And then I want to go back to the show a little bit. So if you have to name one scene in the entire season that's the
mm,
most difficult and then most memorable, what would it be and with whom?
most difficult or the most memorable? Hmm. I would say one of the most difficult scenes is the scene with Justin when Charles' son comes to kill Bruce's son. That was very difficult because I had to go to a very dark place for that. And the thing with film that people, I think, film and TV that people don't realize is, if an event happens to you in real life, right? Something catastrophic, someone comes to kill you, right? I feel like that interaction doesn't last more than like 30 seconds to a minute, and that's it. But when you're acting, there's different coverages, different takes. The camera needs to make sure it's framed correctly. The lights need to make sure it's framed correctly. People need to make sure the blood is coming out of your nose with just the right amount. Um, so the process gets stretched a lot longer to over a 2 hour period at times. And so I felt like the hardest part was staying in that
That
moment of like
mentality,
feeling
yeah.
like I'm gonna die. Yes, yes, and being so overwhelmed, like feeling the feeling of betrayal and stress and fear of dying from your own brother. I had to keep that for like 2-3 hours, and that was very exhausting but very rewarding. So I would say that's probably one of the most memorable.
In preparation of this interview, I went over the last episode again, and then I have to say there's a lot left to be told. And
Yes.
what can you say about that? Can we expect a new season soon?
That is a much better question to ask Netflix. I'm not sure. So far, no confirmation, but I do agree with you. I think there's a lot to explore. I think that a lot of people want to find out what's going on with Charles and Mom, and a lot of people want to see what Bruce will be up to. I don't know, but I do feel like there's gonna be a lot of development, and I'm really excited to reapproach Bruce in future seasons because I do feel like this show happens over the span of 1 week. So there isn't time necessarily for Bruce to realistically adjust to being a part of a triad family. But I feel like if there is some time now, and especially with season 2, now he's become aware of it. And everything that he does, the way that he sees life, the way he approaches life, will now be with a different mentality. So I would love to see how Bruce approaches his life from now on.
Thank you so much, Sam, for talking with me.
Of course, it's my pleasure.
Yeah, best of luck to all your endeavors.
Thank you so much. I
Thank you.
appreciate
Thank
it
you
very,
so
very
much.
much.
您正在收看的是凤凰卫视。